What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films, and I am back for my recap and review of Lovecraft Country Season 1, Episode 4. Probably going forward, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. My last two videos were really long and I was really tired. It was a pain in the butt to edit them because I was really giving like a play-by-play recap of the episode, and I don't really want to do that. So going forward, I'm just gonna give you guys like my highlights of the episode and how I interpreted like the title of the episode and all of that, just what I liked about the episode and if I thought it was good or not. That's basically it going forward. So I'm probably going to jump around and the stuff that I talk about might not be in chronological order of the episode, but again, it's just my highlights and things that I enjoyed about the episode. Okay. So first and foremost, the title of this episode is History of Violence, and so we already kind of see that as a running theme throughout the season anyway. But in this episode, it really hit on a history of violence in terms of how a history of violence has impacted Montrose and his family. He had a flashback kind of early on in the episode where we heard the voices of a father and a son. I'm assuming it was probably Montrose and his father. He told him to go pick a switch and he got a beating. It also could have been Montrose and Tick, because I feel like there was mention of Montrose being abusive to Tick when he was a little boy as well. I could be wrong about that, but either way, Montrose was reflecting on the violence that happened to him in his past. And then we also saw where history of violence was brought up when Tick, Leti, Montrose, Hippolyta, D, and Tree, his ass, went to the museum in Boston, and the lady in the background was looking through all the artifacts and talking about how Titus went around to all these savage countries and he got these artifacts. No, bitch, he went, terrorized some people and stole their stuff. Colonization, that's what happened. Damn Christopher Columbus looking ass. That's what happened. So we see that as a history of violence that's kind of brought up kind of in the background, and as we look at the things that are in the museum. And then also, once Tick, Leti, and Montrose make it into Titus's vault, and they see this mummification of some indigenous people that were trapped in this tomb, which is so twisted and crazy to me. And so when they go to reach for the papers, they found them, and the mummy, I guess you want to call her, of the lady that was holding the paper, she comes to life, and she's really like this this goddess almost, like, because she has like a womanly figure, but then her genitalia is that of a man, so you can tell she's like a deity, not necessarily like a human being. That's how I took it, and based on what she was saying to Tick, and Tick could decipher the language she was speaking, I think she was trying to say that she was pretty much like a spirit guide, or like a deity, or like a goddess within her culture. But you saw a history of violence there because she talked about how Titus lied to her and told her that if she didn't translate these papers for him, because she could speak the language of Adam, if she didn't do this thing for him, then he was going to kill her family. But if she did do it, then he would reunite her with her family because he had kidnapped her. And so she did it, and him reuniting her with her family was him locking her in this vault, in this tomb, and her and her family died together. Ain't that messed up, y'all? So we see that idea of, again, colonization happening in a history of violence in that scene. And then at the end, we think it's all good. We think that this woman is going to be, you know, part of the rest of the season. No, Montrose kills her. This fool. And so, in Montrose killing her, and let me know in the comments below what your theory is on this, because what I'm thinking is that he was used as bait to lure Tick to Christina and to Samuel. I think that while he was there, though, that he basically made a deal with the devil, and that they paid him and gave him money to basically make sure Tick does what he's supposed to do, and then they will grant him whatever wish he wants, whatever that might be. Because we already know that they can give illusion. William met up with Ruby at a bar and tried to offer her some stuff, which I'm gonna get to in a little bit. So we know they have the money and the power to basically grant anybody anything. So I can imagine that the man that we see that Montrose is, I could see him going there, writing this letter, luring Tick there in the hopes that this ritual would have went through, everything would have been good. He would have got his payout, whatever it is, and been done with the situation. But then when everything backfired, now he has to retract and double back and do all this other stuff to try to hold up his end of the bargain so he can reap the benefit of whatever deal he made. This is just my theory, y'all. I could be completely off and wrong, but this is what I'm thinking. Because why would he slice old girl's throat at the end when her whole purpose was going to be, because she couldn't speak, because when she came out of the tomb, they found out a curse was put on her, so she was a siren. So pretty much, if she was removed from that tomb, she wouldn't be able to decipher those pages for anybody else. So Tick is like, well, we're gonna have to teach her how to speak English because we got to get this done. And so Montrose wasn't having it, and he killed her. So that really got me to thinking. So let me know in the comments below what your theory is. I'm sure in the next couple episodes we're gonna find out what his motive was behind that. But that's what I'm thinking, is that he is in Christina's pocket. That's just my thought. Anyway, so then the biggest theme that I really noticed in this episode and that I really liked about this episode is this theme of the strong woman. And this in Black woman, white woman, indigenous woman, strong woman throughout this entire episode. Even down to the music that they picked for this episode, which it was modern music. So I know for some people that's off-putting. To me, it doesn't really make that big of a deal for me. It throws you off a little bit, but I kind of got what they were doing, and the music was really like boss bitch music, and the scenes that they played it in, it kind of fit. So it didn't turn me off. And I would suspect we might see it, happen throughout the season anyway. But we saw Christina being a strong woman multiple times throughout this episode. When she rode up on Leti and she was zooming through the streets, breaking speed laws, I'm sure, to get to Leti's house. And then she gets there and she, kind of confronts Leti. And she was going to try to strong arm her way into the house. But the voodoo priestess from last episode, remember y'all, she put that protection spell over the threshold of the door. So Christina ain't no good child. So she could not walk through that threshold. And Leti did not invite her into that house. So Christina was surprised. And Leti was kind of surprised too. But Christina figured, you know what? Well, since I can get in your house, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get in your head. So she told Leti about how Tick tried to shoot her down at the realtor's office, and how, she needs to be careful with these men because they will try to lie to you and, paint a picture for however they need to paint it so they can look the best that they can. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. But in this situation, she was trying to be a little shady, and Leti peeped it. And Leti didn't know about all that Tick had done, but she didn't want to let Christina see her sweat. So she basically was like, look, I know you're the one that sent me the money for this house, but my name is on the deed. So what I'm gonna need you to do is back your ass up off my porch and get off my property. So Christina respected it, and she was like, well, give me a call. And Leti slammed the door in her face. And I wasn't mad at it. So then Christina, we saw her boss up again, because she was in the neighborhood playing with the kids, and then the police roll up, and so she go with the police. Now y'all remember the police lieutenant is affiliated with the Sons of Adam, and so she goes to see him, and they're talking. He pretty much like, I know why you here. You trying to get those papers, the missing pages of the book. And he was pretty much like, it don't matter if you get the missing pages or not. You still a woman. We still not gonna accept you. And Christina looks at him like, do you know who I am? But she let it slide. She didn't let him see her sweat. And then a little bit later on in the episode, he sent a couple police to follow her. And my main man, William, rolled up on the car and said, no, we're not going to be following Christina around. And he whoops ass. And so she really like sent the message. Like, don't let the smooth taste fool you. Just because I'm a woman, I'm not to be played with. And I wasn't mad at that. So then we have Leti this episode, who is a boss chick every episode. But this episode in particular, I was really loving me some Leti. Because first and foremost, we know she checked Christina at her house. Secondly, she went to go find Tick. When she found him at the library, she didn't care about being in that library. She checked him in front of everybody and told him she can't believe that he was going to kill this woman and then try to run his ass back to Florida and wasn't going to say nothing to nobody. And he said, swarping down, that was what he was not going to do. And that now he realizes that he needs to find these pages from this book so he can protect them and basically be done with this mess with this crazy ass family. And so Leti is like, well, you know me, I'm a ride or die. So what we got to do? And they decide that they're going to go ahead and try to convince Montrose to go with them to Boston to museum to see if they can find this map to get to Titus's vault that these missing pages are in. So when they get ready to go on their road trip, Tree, who is the fool in the last season that was lying on his dick talking about he slept with Leti when we knew he didn't, gonna run up talking about, I heard y'all was going to Boston, so I figured I'd hit your ride to Philadelphia. And so Hippolyta, which we're gonna talk about in a little bit, she's like, yeah, come on in, we got plenty of room. They wasn't really fooling with it because Montrose, Tick, and Leti already knew this wasn't no family trip. This was all about business on this trip, and they knew it was gonna be dangerous, but they couldn't tell them what they was gonna do. So they let Tree ride with them. And then so when they get to Boston, they get to the museum, Tree caught himself trying to talk to Leti. He gonna say to Leti, you know why they call me Tree, right? Because every other man got 2 legs, but I got 3. And she turned around and said, well, you would think I would already know that since we fucked in high school, right? And left him on silent. Get out my face with your ignorant ass. So she checked him, and I was here for it. Then Leti showed us how much of a boss she was, because that later on that night, when they went back to the museum to pretty much try to figure out how to get to this map so they could figure out how to get to the secret passage to get to Titus's vault. And Leti, and Titus and Montrose trying to be all quiet, trying to be stealthy. Leti said, bitch, I ain't got time for this. So she broke the glass. She pulled the map. She said, let's go. So they figured out, based on looking at the map, that the moon would come in through the light, hit the Titus statue a certain way, and then it would unlock this hidden passage. So they go into this little hidden passage, and it's like this tunnel situation. And so Tick goes down first, and he's trying to figure out what's happening so they're not in danger. Leti said, I ain't got time for this. She threw the map down there, shimmied her way down the rope. I said, come on, Leti. So this whole episode, Leti was with the shit, and I was here for it. And then we have Leti that was the first one to go across this scary ass plank, and you know, she pretty much risked her life because she went out there first and she almost died because this little crazy, like little pendulum, like a blade was swinging. And so Tick had to go out and help her. But sis led the way there. Like, Leti was just a boss this episode and showed no fear. And I was here for all of it. Then we have Ruby, who in her own way showed that she was a strong woman. In the beginning of the episode, last episode, she's talking about applying to Marshall Fields, giving him her resume. She wants to be like the first Black woman to go work there. So this episode, she finally gets her resume together. She goes to Marshall Fields, and while she's there, she sees another Black woman is working there, and that really shoots down her confidence because she feels like there's no way that they're going to hire 2 Black women. And she said something in the episode that really stung, and it hurt because she was not wrong, and a lot of people think like this. And she said that she basically said there's not room for 2 of us, and that we have to fight and scrap for whatever little bit they give us. And if one of us gets it, the other one might as well find something else, because they ain't gonna let more than one of us get it. And it really stung, because I'm like, in some ways, some people really still feel that way. And that's why sometimes there might be like this crab in the bucket type mentality. I don't think the lady that worked there, Marshall Fields, would have had that with Ruby. She probably would have helped her out, but we don't know. Ruby got discouraged, and so she went to play some blues and just chill at a bar. And when she's at the bar, she runs into William. And so here's why I'm saying that Ruby had a strong woman moment in this episode, because she saw William. She peeped immediately that he was, trying to flirt with her and that he was up to something. And she basically, she was like, you're not the first white man to try to approach me to try to get these draws. You're not getting none. I'm good. I don't want nothing from you. But then a few moments later, they making out at the house, and, they end up having sex. And so the reason why I'm saying she was a strong woman in this episode is because she owned her sexuality. I'm going to say it. And yes, William, I think he's a vampire. He's a take on a vampire. That's just my opinion. But yes, he kind of tempted her. But I don't think he manipulated her. At most at the bar, he said, she was saying how all these men promised her the world. And William was like, well, I can really give it to you. And so even when he said that, she really wasn't buying it. But the way when they got to the house, she was fully in control. Like, she was on top sometimes. He was on top sometimes. You know what I'm saying, y'all? And while she was intoxicated, but I still feel like she owned her sexuality. I feel like she owned her decision to sleep with him, and all of that. So I'm giving it to Ruby. Y'all might not agree. Let me know in the comments. But to me, she was a boss bitch this episode as well. And then Hippolyta, although she kind of made me mad this episode, the reason why I would say that she also displayed some strong woman vibes this episode, because number one, she would not take no for an answer, and she made sure her and Dee went on this road trip to go to the museum, just so they could get out of Chicago for a little bit, and she wasn't taking no for an answer, and I wasn't mad at that. And then there was not a whole lot that she really did this episode. But one thing she did at the end that made me mad was when Dee found that map in the glove compartment, and Hippolyta saw it, and she saw that the little town where the sons of Adam, where Titus's estate was, she saw that circled, and she turned around and started going in that direction. I was so mad at her, because I know she was acting on emotion, but I'm like, girl, you about to be in so much danger you don't even know. Like, she driving right into these sundown towns. She running right into the heart of where all this dark magic is happening, all these monsters, just all this shit. And I'm like, girl, it's gonna get bad for her, and I'm so nervous, and they ain't got cell phones. So sis can't call nobody until she gets to a payphone. I cannot. But just Hippolyta refusing to be left home again, refusing to accept the answers that people are giving her about George's death. Just all of that to me is some strong woman stuff. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, y'all, this episode at this point, I know I said last week's episode was my favorite. This one is my favorite so far. I still love last week's episode, but I love this episode because it really showed me that we were missing and are still missing an amazing action adventure that stars Black people. I did not realize I needed it, but damn it, I enjoyed this episode and I need it in my life. Y'all hear me? I need a Black Indiana Jones, okay? I need a Black The Mummy. I need a Black Pirates of the Caribbean. I need something, because this episode, down to the score, when it changed, when they were down in that tunnel, to the action, to the suspense, to the intrigue, to the it was so good. It was so good, y'all. And I really, really, really hope that after this season is over, this show sparks the creativity of Black Hollywood and those that make the big budget films, and we get finally movies that we've been asking for. We've been asking for a coming of age film that stars Black young people. We've been asking for more Black romance, Black westerns, Black adventure now, action, just all these things that we've seen snippets of it, and it's happened here and there. But when I saw this episode, y'all, it spoke to me, and it really made me feel like y'all have not been wrong. Y'all have been saying y'all tired of seeing slave films, y'all tired of seeing period films, and y'all want to see something else. And I got it when people were saying it before, but I still feel like sometimes the slavery films and the period films are necessary. But after watching this episode, y'all, I get it so much more, and I see what y'all are saying, and I agree. So yeah, y'all, I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I don't want this to be too long, but I love this episode. This is my favorite episode so far. So now we got to see next episode. First of all, why the hell did Montrose kill this lady? What's gonna be the repercussions now? Because he done burnt up the book that Uncle George gave him, because he called himself trying to protect his family, but you just made stuff worse because now they don't know what to do. What's gonna happen between Leti and Tick and all the sexual chemistry and the sexual energy? Hippolyta, what's gonna happen to her? Baby girl is heading right into the eye of the storm, but she don't even know it, and she got D with her. Oh my gosh. Christina, she ain't up to no good, but I'm tired of these men disrespecting her, and she got all this power, and I'm really just ready to see her bust some heads of all these men that keep coming at her because she a woman, and she's still the villain. But there are moments where you kind of root for her. You kind of do. And I want to see what's going to happen with Ruby when she realized that she didn't have sex with a whole full vampire. Because that's what I think William is. I think he is a day-walking vampire. Those are just my theories. So let me know in the comments below how you felt about this episode. And I'm sorry that it was all over the place, y'all. But like I said, I'm just going over my highlights and what I liked about the episode and just my thoughts. That's just what I'm going to do from now on. So as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to see y'all next time for something else. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm going to see y'all next time. Holla!